Do you know this guy? Yes, he is Bernard Madoff, ex-chairman of the Nasdaq and the most notorious white-collar criminal in the history of mankind. This guy is actually single-handedly responsible for the largest financial fraud in the history of United States. The Ponzi schemes that he ran cost the investors around an incredible 65 billion US dollars, an amount that is actually more than Israel's entire budget. And this guy is just one of the many cases of the dark world of white-collar crimes. And that's the topic for the day today. Today we'll learn all about white-collar crimes, how they work, their types, and how it can be avoided. Hi all, my name is Dheeraj Vaidya from wallstreetmojo.com, the home for most authentic place to learn finance and accounting. Let's get started. Okay, so let's begin by knowing what white-collar crimes actually are. So white-collar crimes are generally non-violent in nature and are totally motivated towards some sort of financial benefits. Now, these perpetrators generally hold powerful and prestigious professional positions. Think of the CEOs or let's say the directors of the company, and they use these influential positions to conceal, deceive, and violate the trust of the investors as well as clients. Now, it's very hard to actually believe that the fact is, even after stringent laws are in place, white-collar crimes lead to financial losses of millions of dollars. Now, speaking about losses, let's look at some of the data that sheds light on how much loss the United States undergoes due to these white-collar crimes. Now, listen to this. Every year in the US, around 300 billion US dollars are lost to white-collar crimes. I mean, that's just insane. Just imagine what you could do with that money. Unthinkable, right? The number of white-collar prosecutions also has decreased over the last 2 decades, which is also troubling. Again, if you look at the number of white-collar criminal prosecutions has fallen to a historic low under the Trump administration. And again, the Department of Justice seems unconcerned about this issue even under Biden's presidency. Well, I guess the greed for financial gains is simply outweighing the fear of punishments. Okay, so enough of data. Let's look at some of the types of these white-collar crimes. Because of the length of the video, I'll stick to explaining only the top 3 types of white-collar crimes. So at the top comes the corporate frauds. So corporate frauds are actually committed when the perpetrators actually use some kind of deception, something like forging of financial information. It could be using something like material non-public information for profits, or maybe designing schemes to hide fraudulent activities from the regulators, such as the SEC. A typical example could be that, let's say, a CEO or the director of the firm trades the stock based on some material non-public information, leading to something called as an insider trading schemes. The second one is embezzlement. Now, you can call embezzlement a kind of a theft that can range from, let's say, an employee, taking out a few dollars from the cash drawer of his employer to, let's say, transferring millions into his own account. Now, another well-known white-collar crime is something called as a Ponzi scheme. Now, what is Ponzi scheme? A Ponzi scheme is a kind of an investment scam where investors are offered extremely high returns with almost no risks at all. Now, here what happens is the scammers use new investors' money to pay off high returns to its former investors. However, once the scammers runs out of the clients to get new investments, the whole play just crashes out, and the investors are actually left in lurch. Now, another thing to note here is that the advancements of internet actually played a vital role in the increase of white-collar crimes. Well, of course, it has kind of amplified white-collar crimes, right? Think of various cyber crimes such as the fraudulent online schemes and online phishing for stealing personal or professional information of individuals as well as companies to kind of siphon money illegally from their accounts are at an all-time high, right? I mean, ask yourself seriously, don't you hear these incidents of online frauds and hacks every other day? Okay, so now that you have a fair idea about white-collar criminology, let's look at some of the ways you can use to actually identify or maybe counter these crimes. So when it comes to identification, you should look for obvious signs such as, let's say, altered or missing documentation. It could be discrepancy in the accounts books, etc. to check, if there's some kind of forgery going around. Also, when it comes to countering these crimes, the best way of defense is to empower your employees, through policies such as the whistleblower policy, right? Now here the employees actually are given a set of instructions and actions that make them aware of illegal practices and empowers them to make a right move. Yes, the famous phrase, knowledge is power, seems to be befitting here, doesn't it? Now finally guys, as you all know, there is no video that is complete without a classic example. So let's look at one of the most eye-catching cases of this white-collar crime world. So most of us, born in 1980s and 90s must have heard about this thing called as the Enron scandal in 2002, where the company's share actually took its biggest hit and fell from an impressive $90.75 per share to a ridiculous amount of 26 cents per share at its bankruptcy. Now, good luck to the shareholders. The company used illegal practices like the special purpose vehicles for hiding its losses and debts from the eyes of shareholders. However, once the suspicion started to rise, the company was brought under the criminal proceedings in January 2002. Thereafter, the NYC actually suspended Enron, and the accounting firm Arthur Andersen was convicted on the grounds of obstruction of justice. I hope you found this video to be useful. Please do like and share. And if you have any feedback or want to suggest a topic for any future videos, then you may do so by writing about it in the comments section. Also, we come up with interesting videos on finance and accounting topics regularly. So if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, then please do so by clicking on the subscribe button below so that you can get the notifications as soon as we release the latest videos. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.